Okay, what up everyone? It is your girl Karina Dean. I am your go-to for demystifying astrology. And in this video, I am bringing you another personal story take on the natal aspect of Venus retrograde. Woo! Can I get a woo-hoo? Because this aspect in a natal chart is quite a doozy. Now, I actually started doing these kinds of series back when I was pregnant, and I did a Chiron in the 9th house. If you would like to take a look at that video, it is right here. And it was my personal take on what it's like to live with Chiron in the 9th house. And I totally did this video to vent. And it turned out that I got such great feedback. So I am going to continue doing these videos, and in this one I really want to share with you guys what it's like to live with a natal Venus retrograde. So let's get into it, okay? All right, so the key pointers that I want to make sure that you understand, and I will be reiterating this as I share my personal stories, is that this is about, in general, natal Venus retrograde. But I am born with Venus in Aries, Venus retrograde in Aries. So what is on top of that layer of having Venus in retrograde in the natal chart is that my Venus is in her detriment. Yes, she does not like to be in Aries, and Venus doesn't like to be in Scorpio. Okay, but Venus does enjoy being in Libra and in Taurus because those are Venus rulership signs. Okay, so when we're dealing with Venus, we're dealing with beauty, love, art, and design, and money. And a lot of different aspects could showcase your relationship to the respective art. But Venus is about making things beautiful, and that's why design is really a big, essential, principal keyword for Venus. Now for me, it shows up in my life because I enjoy designing online graphics. And I actually didn't go for school for this or anything like that. It just showed up as a hobby. And I just love making like beautiful pictures come together and like putting beautiful text to it. And so in college, I used to do this for events. I would create different pamphlets for concerts. I would create flyers for people's, for things that people are putting on. And that's where it started, that I found my love for online graphic design. And I also continue to do that even to this day. Like, I don't consider myself a professional, but I love doing YouTube thumbnails and Facebook covers and changing things up and changing with the filters and all that kind of stuff, because I really love the aspect of making things enhanced and beautiful. Now, I also have been a singer my entire life, but you wouldn't know it. You wouldn't know it because I don't go walking around telling everybody that I'm a singer. I don't go walking around singing my heart out in the streets. And you would think that I would with the Aries aspect for my personal Venus, but the retrograde makes everything a lot more internal. And it's never been something for me to just go out and push it out there like some other aspects would showcase that. For me, it's just been my own personal self-indulgence to design and to sing and to do music. I really have always just been that girl in her room with her hairbrush, pretending to be Mariah Carey and wishing that she had the dopest outfit, and was actually really just fine with keeping it right there in her bedroom as a kid, enjoying all of that. But life brings out our needs to put things out on a business level, right? We need to grow up and we need to become this person that contributes to the world. And for me, my Venus retrograde has made me really want to contribute my music to the world, but it has to be on terms that I can truly feel comfortable with. It has to be on terms that I truly could feel like I'm back in that room again. And that is my relationship with the beauty and design and art aspect of Venus retrograde. It's all such an internal space, and I created it for healing, for imagination, for exploration of myself. Like, what great, beautiful things could I create in my own little world? Now, of course, the other aspect to Venus retrograde would be relationships. And honey, that's what this video is really about. Because I truly have stories that have gone all the way back since junior high school. And I'm sure many of you guys have. But these stories, I feel like they're not that big of a deal. But they sting me to the core. The main theme in my relationships have been, am I worthy enough? Am I pretty enough? My first relationship actually was more like my second relationship. Yes, I had 2 boyfriends in junior high school. And but the second one was like probably the more like serious one, right? And I really had strong feelings for this person. And I mean, look, I'm in junior high school, so how strong could it really be? You know what I'm saying? But I remember being with this person, and he was actually a very good looking guy, athletic, and extremely popular. And I was always a little bit more of the awkward girl. And I remember sitting at the cafeteria, eating with him and like talking and, you know, doing your little junior high school love, whatever you do at that time. And some girl that either he knows or he used to date or whatever came up and like looked at me and then looked at him and said really loud, like, you could do better. And that moment has haunted me for most of my life, and in a lot of the relationship moments that I've had after that. I have always felt like I have been in a relationship where either the guy thought he was better than me, or thought he was more socially better or more popular or better looking, was more used to a better looking kind of girl. And I've always felt like I'm just behind in being worthy enough to be in this relationship. Now, I want to point out the Venus aspects of this because the worthiness is based off of looks. Yes, Venus is about beauty. Venus is about the things that us as women, we use to make our lives more enhanced. So this would be makeup, earrings, you know, beautiful clothes. And I grew up not having access to as much beautiful like name brands. My parents came from humble beginnings, and they instilled that in me and my sister. And growing up, I just never really could get in the trend of wearing dope clothes. But on top of that, I had major body issue images anyway. So I was always, and have continued to this day, dealt with feeling like I don't look good in clothes. I'll tell you one story in which I loved Aaliyah and I wanted to look just like her. And there was this one time that I convinced my mom to buy me a pair of name brand jeans. They were Tommy Hilfiger, and I wanted to wear them like Aaliyah did in this picture. And I got her to buy me the jeans, and I went to school wearing them. And I'm telling you, I never wore them after that day because they didn't look good. I didn't know how to rock them. They were like really kind of abrasive. It didn't work out well. It didn't work out well. And that also was a reminder to me that I couldn't get or grasp being like in the world and being a participating actor, right, in the world of beauty and design. I always knew that I was beautiful. I always knew that I was a good looking person. But when it came to the relationship, it was like it all just fell and dissipated. Now, maybe some people who have better aspects to their Venus would have different experiences. But I do feel that Venus being in Aries, for me, was adding the level of honing into my femininity and masculinity and really trying to find that balance, and still trying to find that balance. There have been times where I've dealt with a lot of hormonal issues, and Venus being in Aries, a sign of blood, right, might constitute for that. There have been times when people thought that I was gay or like interested in other women. And I've never actually really wanted to do that, but I could get it because I was always wearing like clothes that weren't like very feminine, you know, and I wasn't always feminine in my character. I've always been a little bit more like, you know, tough, tomboyish, you know. I love to admire other women and how they look, and there are times where I felt so crippled because I could never look like other women. That's another Venus retrograde, especially in Aries, because Aries is a sign of muscles in the body. But I constantly struggled with finding this sense of image and superficiality to a degree, because Venus is about the materials that women need. You know, it's like from the tampons to the pads to the makeup to the mascara. You know, that's kind of the rulership that Venus is. And in retrograde, it was constantly me redoing it or trying it over. But for me, I almost didn't always redo it. I kind of just stopped there and never really felt good enough to try again. Going back to the relationship aspects, being in a relationship always brings me to the point in a relationship where I'm asking, should I be in this relationship? Now, I'm sure many people do ask that, but for me, it seems like a consistent thing. It happens like maybe every 6 months. I've been in a relationship for almost 10 years. So I have constantly dealt with reviewing and revisiting the true needs that I have to be in a relationship in the first place. And I often find that for me, it becomes a troubling time, because the internal aspect of searching for the answers can bring you into kind of a very dark world. And for me, it brought me into places in which I felt like I missed out on things, or I should have done this. Being in Venus retrograde natally, I've also found it very difficult to end relationships. Now, not necessarily just romantic, but any kind. You know, if it's not working out, you have to be able to stand for yourself and say, look, this is not working out. Even in business relationships or job relationships, I have had moments where I just had to stop, and I felt I had to like really fend for myself and make people see that, you know, I'm doing this for me, and I'm sorry if it doesn't benefit you, because Venus wants everybody to be in harmony. But I'm constantly searching for the need to please and the others and the need to please self.